Yo, what's going on, you guys? Drum Machine Addicts is back again with another highly requested tutorial, and today we are doing our intro into the MPC Live Hardware. So as you can see, I have my MPC loaded up. I'm going to start from the start screen for you guys. Alright, now this is the main mode, right? You see that at the top? Right next to that is the save icon. If I wanted to save, or program edit, you have sync if you have a MIDI device. That button right there, this button is very important because it lets you switch between controller mode and standalone mode. Right now, we're in standalone mode, but if I wanted to switch to controller, let's say if I have my computer loaded up with the software, all I have to do is click this button. And as you can see on the screen, it's like, controller mode allows this MPC to work with the software running on your computer. It will disable standalone MPC functionality. Are you sure you want to enter that? And you can click this button right there to enter controller mode or cancel to get out of this screen. Alright, let's see, right next to that, this meter shows you the battery. It shows you how much onboard storage you have and how much memory you're using. And aside from that, you can look at this to see how much battery you have, and again, how much CPU you're using, that type of thing, right? So, like I said, let's start with the main mode. Now, this is the mode you're going to deal with most when you're using the controller. Now, if you see right here, we have the sequence. We have the BPM next to it. You can toggle with the BPM using your jog wheel. And a cool thing is, let's say if I set the BPM up to 123 or something like that, I can press the sequence button right below, and you saw that the text switched over and said master. So now there's a master BPM. Or I can just click this again to toggle it off, and it'll put it back at the BPM I set it at, which is 123. Right next to it, I can set how many bars I want for my sequence, right? So right now I have it at 8, I can have it at 2, I can have it at 1, and next to that is the start end function, and then letting you loop the sequence as well. Alright, then there's the transpose button, which is right next to that, which allows you to transpose up the sequence by semitones or transpose down by semitones. Right next to that, this button lets you type in a name for your sequence. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, just something random. That's what our sequence is called. And then that pencil, anytime you see that pencil, that is an edit button that allows you to edit, right? So your edit functions, you can either erase the sequence, you can clear the sequence, transpose it, you can bounce the whole sequence to a sample, delete bars, insert bars, half length the sequence, or double the sequence length, You can copy it, copy the bars, the events, or you can save the current sequence without having to save the whole project, right? So you have that. Right below sequence, you have track. So now you can toggle between how many tracks that you want to use. So as you can see, all of them are unused right now, but it looks like you can do up to 128 tracks, right? Again, using the pencil, you can either clear, explode the track, use double speed or half speed like we covered in another tutorial for the software, copy the track, bounce the track to a sample, bounce it to audio, or export the pattern, okay? Now, if you see these icons next to it, they let you know the type of track that you're using and the type of program that you're using as well too. So we're on track 1, and this should look familiar because that's a drum program, right? If I go next to it, it changes this to a plug-in track, right? So you saw it made a new sequence with that too, or it made a new program, So I was on program run 1. So let's say if I have some drum samples loaded up, the default is going to be the drum program, right? On top of that, from here, I can load up a sample and I can warp the sample by clicking that button I just did, which also took me to program edit, which is something we'll cover later. And if I want to navigate out of here, click that, go to main menu again. I can assign samples from here, I can edit samples from here, and I can change the drum program, right? I did that. Oh, and excuse me, that wasn't a plugin, it was a key group program that it made, right? So that'll let you know what type of programs you have right here, and you can hit the plus sign to keep adding new programs, all right? So from there, you can load clip programs as well. Clips is something new that was included with MPC Live and MPC 2.0. From there, You can do a MIDI program, especially if you have like a hardware synth that you're trying to work with. Oh. And then finally you have CV programs, and again, that's for like hardware kind of stuff that you could be working with. So from there, this is going to be the main screen you're working with once you have your sounds loaded up and stuff. This button at the top is for metronome. Let me click that again. It's right here, metronome. So of course you have your different functionalities with that. You can do record, record, play, off, any variation. Same with this too, off, play, record, record, play. And you can change the rate of your metronome or your click. So that's pretty much it at the top. And then of course these are regular buttons. You have your tap to tempo button right here. You have your shift button. You have your menu button, which takes you back to this main screen. You have main. Under that you have track. Then you have undo, which if you press shift it'll be redo. Copy, if you press shift it'll be delete. The plus the minus button, which lets you go between sequences or tracks. You have your play button. You have your play start button, which as you can see the bar is moving now, so the sequence is started. Stop. You have overdub. You have record. Sorry about that. Alright. And of course you have your Q-Link controllers. And then you have the Q-Link button right here. And yeah, so that pretty much covers this first screen right here. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to the second part. All right. This is your browser, okay? So with your browser, this is where all your drum programs are going to be. This is where you can find all your instruments. These are all onboard sounds that come with the MPC Live, right? So you've got samples, you've got cymbal crashes, you've got guitar loops, you got hi-hats, you got snares, and you also have the search directory up here for these different folders that things are assigned to. And mind you, this is all in standalone mode right now, so when you get into your actual software, these folders will actually correspond with the ones that you have selected in the software, whether folder 1 is for your samples, folder 2 for your drums and stuff like that. That's kind of how I have mine set up. So all your files and stuff right here, demos, so the demo tracks that come with the software, and they're pretty cool to toggle around with if you want to learn. Let's go ahead and load one up just cause. Loading a project, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. Alright, so just to kind of show you, so notice how the main menu looks now. We're on main mode. There's a different view you can access from here, and this is going to be the grid that's going to show you. Let's say I'll just program some stuff just cause. Alright, I don't even know what I just played, right? But the events are now on the timeline. Yep. And you can see all that from the grid view, and then these different tools up top let you do different things like select. If I want to select all the events, there's a selector tool. If I want to magnify the events, I have to be on this one right here at the far end, that magnifying glass. If I want to erase tools, I have to be on the eraser, which is the second one. And so that tool got erased. Just to show you that it got erased, let's press undo. See? Erased it. Or if I want to draw tools, I take the pencil. Yep, see? Drew tool. Yep. Alright, from there, this shows you all your different tracks and all the programs that you're using. And this is another view of like a step sequencer kind of thing, right? Or actually, this is really useful for launching clips and stuff. And then from there, a cool thing called XY, which is it's basically like a filter kind of thing. It's like a filter and a stutter mixed into one. It's really cool, but we'll show you that at another time. Really cool, really, really cool. But yeah, man, that's pretty much this introduction. This is going to be like just the first introduction to the hardware, just getting you acquainted with the interface. So what we showed you was main mode, and we showed you the browser. And remember, you can click out of stuff by clicking at the top left. So then we're going to go on to sample edit, So then you can start going on looking at some of these samples and how this works. Then we're going to show you program edit, and then we're going to show you some things about how to warp. Then we're going to show you the sampler. And one more thing we'll cover before we leave is this gear up here, which takes you to preferences, right? So you can do everything from your info to setting your autosave, all that good stuff, right? Yeah, and that's pretty much it, man. Oh, and of course Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that you can connect to your device so that you can do Ableton Link. You can also go into the hardware and set how you want to do your screen, whether it's day and night, when does the screen dim, and other lets you actually set this into vintage mode, and the same vintage modes are on here that are on the software. And that's pretty much it, you guys. This is an introduction, and part 2 will be coming soon. We'll talk to you later. And remember, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. Peace.